Joining me today is author LJ Vanterra. She's here today to talk about her book, Beyond the Wall. Welcome, LJ.
Well, thank you very much, Christine.
You know, congratulations on your book.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, and how does it feel to be published?
Well, it feels a bit surreal. You know, there's lots of things you can do in life and never think that you can't. If you want to try something, give it a try.
Well, you did it, and congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us about the book.
Well, the setting is future Earth. And Earth, the planet Earth, has been colonized by inhabitants from another planet. And human beings are essentially turned into farm animals. So that's the grand setting, but the micro setting takes place in a compound. A compound where humans live, and most of the inhabitants have never been outside in the real world. All they know is their compound. There are some inhabitants within the compound that lived in the outside world before colonization took place. They're known as the originals. So it makes for a very interesting setting.
Yes, indeed. And it's such an imagination. So what was the inspiration behind the book?
Well, I wanted to nudge readers to reflect on, you know, how they treat other beings, whether it's other human beings or non-humans. So I think the book itself gently provokes people to give that some thought. Yeah. And I had some further inspiration. I was once in Savannah, Georgia, and just happened upon an open house they were having. And I was intrigued by this film I saw called Inverso Mundus, World Upside Down. So the social norms as we know them are turned upside down. So, for example, you would see a scene of a human carrying a donkey on its back, yes, or a pig in an apron butchering a human. So there are these surreal scenes all done with a soundtrack of classical music. So I was just seeing these images. And I think the film certainly had an impact on me, because you think about social roles and it just all seems normal to us. But if you suddenly were to inverse them, it's startling, right? So
it makes you think.
It makes you think, yeah.
Yes.
But, you know, the book isn't all deep and heavy. And actually, it's also a very thrilling, suspenseful, mysterious, riveting novel. So it's an interesting story with several layers. So if a person just wants to read it for an interesting novel, they certainly would get a thrill out of it, I think. But there are these subtle layers that nudge the reader to think about life and how we treat other life.
It offers to the readers a little suspense, science fiction, and hope.
Hope, absolutely hope. Because, you know, in our world today, full of, frankly, misery that we read about on the news, and read about lives that other people are having, but there's always hope. So in this story as well, I mean, the setting, if I was to explain the setting, it's a setting of despair, but it's also a group living in this compound. It's a community. There are moments of joy and laughter. Then there's collaboration, thinking of a way to escape, and then the planning and the resilience and the drive. And don't want to give the whole story away, but ultimately, very happy ending.
Yes.
So, just like life, this story, the environment is not the best, but as the story shows, you can be in an environment that you think, well, how will I ever get out of this environment? How did I get this lot in life? I don't see any change for the future, but the story clearly shows that there's always hope.
Yes.
And there's always the possibility of change in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you have hope, you have the faith to and the belief in yourself that you can do it.
Yes.
And that's where. So, what was the process like?
Well, as you know, this was my first novel.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Again.
And I mean, I've always written throughout my life, always poems or songs or things like that, but I never thought I would write a novel. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but wouldn't it be fun to just to write the first page?
Keep going.
So I wrote the first page, and then another, and then I had a chapter, and then Christine, it was very strange, but it just came to me.
Was it therapeutic?
Yes, it was. It was like I looked forward to just delving into this and crafting it, and I enjoyed the editing, the rewriting, rethinking. Could I write that sentence better? Could I write that paragraph better? And I never knew that I would enjoy that so much.
Yeah. I mean, what about the characters? I mean, how did you develop the characters? Like the Edna, I believe, she's empowering, I believe.
Yeah, just like any community of individuals, each character is different. Some more vocal than others, some seemingly stronger than others, and others who have a quieter strength. So quite a variety of characters in the novel, just like in the real world.
Yes. Is some of your characteristics you use in the book, some of it? Characteristics that you have?
Yes. I did. I mean, I guess one of the characters in particular, I wouldn't say she's exactly me, but yeah, her voice is my voice, definitely. Yeah.
No, I mean, it is a book that, the reviews are great. And I want to ask you the feedback without me saying, Canada, United Kingdom, India.
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel about the feedback?
Well, pretty good. It was a little bit frightening at first, even before it was published, putting it out there. You just feel so vulnerable. And I hear this from other writers too. You put your heart and soul into the story, but also this story's a little bit out there, right? So I thought, ooh, how are people gonna react to this setting? And so I gently brought the book out at first. I had a couple of beta readers that were acquaintances, and I asked them if they were willing to read it and to give me their thoughts, and they enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
So then I thought, phew, okay, and then I would branch out a little bit further to people I knew, and the further I branched out and had people read it and the more positive responses I was getting, I just let lots of people read it.
And was this year, what year was this when you started?
Well, I started writing, I think it was 2019.
2019, okay.
But the more challenging part is not the writing, but after you get it done, it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? You know, okay, this was an interesting experiment. Now I'm done and on to other things in my life. But I thought, well, I went through all the trouble of writing this.
Why not?
Why not
Yeah.
share it, right? So I did that. I got it published. And yeah, we'll see what happens.
And it's on Amazon. So.
Yes, it's on Amazon, and I'm actually going through a republishing phase as we speak. So it's the first one was just sort of an experiment. It's on Amazon and Goodreads, but I'm going through with another publisher to expand that, get it republished, new cover design, and expand it a little further.
That's wonderful. And LJ, what is the message that you want readers to take away from your book?
Well, on the one hand, I just want them to read the story and enjoy it as a story, right? So I'm hoping they find it intriguing, good storyline. Hope they enjoy it. I hope they read it cover to cover and and enjoy it. On the other hand, if to them it is thought-provoking and makes them think about, you know, our world,
Yes.
our society, how we would like to be treated, how we treat other people. If that happens, that's great.
That's great. And I have to ask you, will there be a sequel?
Well, at this point, I'm saying no. I mean, never say never, but no, I think I'll stick with this one for now and hope more people read it first, and then we'll see.
Well, it has a happy ending.
It does, yeah. I mean, I have an idea for another book, but I'm just keeping that
Stay tuned.
in my back pocket. It would actually be the same story, but from another character's point of view.
LJ, if people want to copy the book, where can they go?
Well, they can check my website, ljvanterra.com, and it has information about where they can buy the book. Right now, you can just buy it online, but I am in conversation with some independent bookstores. I won't name them yet because it's not finalized, but I'm hoping to reach some deals with some independent bookstores in Vancouver, so we'll see. But for now, ljvanterra.com.
Awesome. And then there'll be the awards.
Oh, you're living in a dream world, as one of the characters says in the book.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you, Christine.
I'm excited to have with me today Filipe Masetti Leite. He's a world-renowned long writer, award-winning journalist, filmmaker, best-selling author, and he's here today to talk about his recent documentary, The Long Rider. Welcome, Filipe.
Thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share my story.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I am talking to you and I just saw the film and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how did you do it? Like it is, but I want to start off by, for people who may not know, what is the long rider? What is a long rider?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people have no idea, right? It's a subculture. A long rider is someone who rides 1,000 miles or more consecutively in a single journey. So, as you saw in the film that I mentioned, some famous long riders of the past, Charles Darwin, Marco Polo, Aime Felix, who inspired my journey. And to this day, there's still lots of people around the world jumping into the saddle and going on their own equestrian journeys.
Yeah, so this is your dream since you were a child. And I understand your father would read the book by Aime um, Tchitttely,
Chifley.
chiefly, sorry.
That's it.
And but it all began with that book, which was
Yeah.
1925, I understand was published, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane, right? To think that I know a story that happened almost a century ago could have inspired someone to try to emulate it. So many years later. And yeah, my dad used to read me that book every night before I went to sleep. It's called Chifley's Ride. It tells the story of one of the most epic long rides of all time. Aime Chifley rode horseback from Argentina to New York in 1925, and I just fell in love with the story. It became my life's dream to one day go on my own long ride.
Wow. I mean, was there a pivotal moment you said, I want to become a long rider? I mean, where were you and what did it feel like?
So I think it was very gradual. Like at first, it was just kind of like a kid's dream. I'd be at the farm in my little horse, thinking I was the guy traveling across the Americas. And then, as I got older, it started to grow, and I thought about it and thought about it and pondered and wondered if it'd be possible to do this in the 21st century. And one day, I was in my last year of university at Ryerson in Toronto, and I just I went on the internet and started researching, and I found the Long Riders Guild, which is an organization that puts all these stories together and helps people that want to go on their own journeys. And I got in touch with them, and they were very helpful with me, and I learned that there was people all over the world still going on long rides, and that kind of gave me the push that I needed to actually grab the dream and turn it into a project. The first thing I did was write it down and created a war room in my apartment where I lived, and started the planning stage, very arduous as well, until I acquired all the know-how and the equipment, the horses, and the money that I needed to undertake this journey.
Wow, I mean, a lot of preparation and it just is so much. So tell us about the process. I mean, um, there was a saddle, the packing, and then I understand there was no water. You forgot to bring water, right? What is I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
incredible.
it's so much to do, and I had to do everything. Like, I had to literally learn how to ride a horse long distance. I was comfortable around horses, but it's totally different for you to rope with a horse or compete and then ride it for 8 to 10 hours every day. And so I had to speak to long riders around the world, and read as much literature as I could find. The other part of it was getting my body into shape, losing weight, working on my core, drawing my route, figuring out what countries I was going to cross, what the geography was like, socioeconomic, everything that was happening in these countries at the time. I had to really learn and focus, and then the other part was acquiring everything I needed. Like I said, from the horses to the tent to the, I didn't have a single horseshoe, so that was the hardest part. I think was convincing people to support me and that I'd actually be able to do this, in my early 20s. But luckily, I got everything I needed, and then on that first day in 2012, I managed to ride out of the Calgary Stampede.
Yes, I mean, I mean, sitting on a horse is one thing, but being on such long hours, so it would be like 30 kilometers a day you would do, like,
Yeah, exactly. That's how much you travel a day. It's a good number for the animal and for the rider as well. And that would take about 8 to 10 hours to do those 30 kilometers.
oh my goodness. And then, with there, moments of bonding with the horses like Brewster and Frenchie. And I mean, for people who are watching and like, how how did you bond so well with the horses? Like you became like a family, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, they become your kids. They're like your children. Yeah, an extension of your body, and there's yours. And that's one of the most special parts of the trip. You know, is actually creating this bond with the animals, and it happens because you spend so much time around them. You know, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're eating next to them. You're traveling with them. You're sleeping around them. You know, usually when you have a horse nowadays, you leave the horse out in the pasture or in a stall and you sleep in your bedroom. You know, you're not having this constant connection with the animal. And so, yeah, I was a part of the herd, and they were a part of
I,
my
yeah,
herd. And it was such a beautiful, go ahead.
yes. I mean, so what drove you? Like, I mean, what lessons did you learn? And, you know, like, I know I'm asking two questions here, but you're on this journey, incredible journey. And did you feel a bit of loneliness? Like, how did you mentally be so strong?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, I think
Oh,
it helps when you prepare. Like I said, strategic planning really helps to prepare you both mentally and physically. The mental aspect of it was definitely by far the hardest. You got to push. You know, there's moments where you think you're not going to be able to do it, and you just have to continue on. Like you touched upon the loneliness. That's very hard. You know, I always say some of the deepest scars I have in my soul came from all the time I spent alone by myself, suffering, you know, in the middle of nowhere, and that stuff that you can't take back. But, you know, ultimately it was a huge learning experience. I think that we, as humans, we learn the biggest lessons in our lives when things aren't going well, right? I think when things are going well, they're great to motivate us to continue on. But the true lessons come from our mistakes, from when we hit rock bottom. And I learned so many lessons from this journey, you know, from the kindness of humanity to the power of the horse to the power of the human spirit when you set a goal and are able to focus and make it happen. You know, so I think ultimately I came out of it a much stronger person.
yes, no, congratulations. And you're also, I didn't put in the intro, but you're also the youngest long rider to cross the Americas. And you speak several languages
Yeah.
like Spanish, English, of course, French, and, you know, having
Portuguese.
Portuguese, like all those languages. Like, do you think the film will be in other languages? Like, that you,
Yeah, I love languages, you know, and it was one of the reasons why I was able to take so much away from this journey. You know, had I not been able to communicate with the people that were hosting me every 30 kilometers through those 12 nations, it wouldn't have been, you know, as special as it was. That was the best part, was that connection with people at the end of every day. You know, you really learn how kind humanity is at its core, and yeah, I'd love to learn new languages. I'd love to learn French that you just mentioned, and in Italian. You know, I love communicating with people. So for sure.
well, three languages is just awesome. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, tell us some of the highlights of your journey.
Yeah, so I think the highlights were leaving the Calgary Stampede. Like I fought so hard to take that first step. You know, like 2 years earlier, I was just a crazy kid with a dream that was never going to even leave. So to be there with those animals that were given to me, the saddle, the pack saddle, leaving from the Centennial Stampede was so special. Starting that dream. Yellowstone National Park, crossing the backcountry of Yellowstone was epic. So beautiful. Mexico. No one celebrated my journey like the Mexicans. One day, 1,000 horsemen and women saddled their horses and rode with me. And I have very fond memories of Mexico. Patagonia was life altering. You know, I met my fiance there, asked for help at her house, and ended up falling in love with her. The Yukon was the place that kind of got under my skin because it was so hard to cross. The bears, the bugs, the mountains, the bog, but at the same time, I fell in love with it. Like as hard as it was so beautiful, so rugged, so wild. And then all the indigenous communities I got to cross in the Yukon as well, and to learn their story and the story of the Americas, right? We tend to forget that everyone came through a land bridge from Siberia to Alaska and ended up, you know, wandering down on their epic journeys all the way to the southern part of Argentina and colonizing this continent before the Europeans arrived. But yeah, you know, there was so many special moments of this journey, and yeah, people get to see it in the movie now, like you saw it, so that's awesome.
Yes, and to be you know, on horseback to see the world. Like, you know, it's such a, you know, what a great way, you know. And any regrets though?
You know, I don't really believe in regrets. I think we all do something for a reason, regardless of what the outcome. I think that it's already written and we're just going through the motions. You know, it feels like nothing less than my destiny to have gone on this journey. So, you know, as hard as it was, and like I said, I have scars that I carry with me. Some things that, you know, I take with me from the journey were good and some were bad. But I wouldn't take it back because it's made me who I am today. And I was supposed to go on this journey. This was my purpose in life. It was my path, and I was just following my instincts.
Yes. And what is next for you?
So right now we are traveling the world with a documentary, which is awesome. Been to film festivals and from Hollywood to India. We won 4 awards already. So the documentary is doing really well on the International Film Festival circuit. We'll continue that till the end of the year. I'm in Calgary right now. I work with the Calgary Stampede. I'll be riding in the parade. I was the parade marshal in 2020 when I finished my last journey. And this year I'll be the honorary marshal along with Kevin Costner, which is going to be awesome. I work on the broadcast team with the tie down roping. We broadcast Sportsnet in Canada, Cowboy Channel in the US, and then in Brazil, Brasil Rural TV. So that's going to be really cool as well. And I just finished writing my 3rd book, Last Long Ride, which will be coming out pretty soon here on the last part of the journey. And we're working on a feature film based on the 1st book, Long Ride Home, about my first journey from Canada to Brazil. So we'll probably start shooting that next year. It'll be with actors and actresses, and we'll retell the story of the first ride through that narrative version. So super excited for that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time and congratulations. And I love to do another interview with you, you know, and maybe in 6 months or, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That would be awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.